Hello, it's Karen Burniston here with an assembly video for one of our die sets. This is die number 1289, Christmas Tree Add-ons, and you can check out all of our designs at karenburniston.com. You use add-ons die sets in conjunction with their foundation die. So in this case, die number 1020, the Christmas Tree pop-up. I loved going back to the Christmas Tree pop-up, which is actually the 20th die we ever put out. So that means it goes all the way back to 2017 on this original die. It makes this great little pop-up Christmas tree. Now the original die set does not come with a tree skirt. So if you like the look that you see here with that original die set, you had to use the tabs die that comes in the set and line that up over your own circle die. So what the add-ons set does now is it does that work for you. So one of the pieces that comes in the add-ons is a great tree skirt that already has the tabs built in. And then using the add-on set changes the look of the tree itself because there are new outer trees now that have opened up areas that allow you to dangle little ornaments in those openings. So in the set are 5 pieces: the tree skirt, the outer trees, some ornaments, and then 2 little charm rings dies. So what I've been doing with assembly videos lately is just remaking the card that is on the packaging. So that seems to work out well. People like that they have a picture of that card on the packaging of the die set, and then I just kind of show you how I put it all together. You choose your card size with our die sets. So this one is a 4.5 by 6 inch card. So that means I started with a piece of cardstock 9 inches wide by 6 inches tall, scored it in the middle for folding. And then to that, I added some pieces of pattern paper 4.25 by 5.5. And while I was in the business of just cutting up paper, I went ahead and added it to the front of the card as well. And I matted that with just a little bit of green. I'll start with the pieces that I cut out of the foundation die. So Christmas Tree pop-up, I used the big trees. Now you can use any weight paper or cardstock for that tree. I just chose a medium green. And then I'm going to keep the piece that comes out of the slot. The next die I used out of that foundation set is the tree trunk. I cut that out of brown cardstock. Now, if there is paper in the little holes, go ahead and knock those out. And then there are score lines in that piece. They all fold away from you. So I always like to break the fold by folding towards myself and then just reverse it. To glue one side to the other, you use the tapered tab and your favorite strong adhesive. Mine is LINECO neutral pH adhesive in my fine tip bottle. We sell both of those items on our website. So some adhesive on the tapered tab and bring the other side of the trunk to it. And then just pinch it till it sets up. I can see that mine's not quite straight, so let me try that again. And then now there's that tree trunk, which will flatten in both directions. Okay, switching die sets now to the first piece I'll get out of the Christmas Tree add-ons, and that is the tree skirt. So when the tree skirt die cuts, it has a decorative press dot pattern around the perimeter, just to give it a little style. It has slots in the middle to avoid the fold, and then it has those tabs built in to the tree skirt that fit that tree trunk perfectly. So now the tree trunk is going to set down over those tabs and attach to them. So I'm going to add glue to the tabs, and I'll just go ahead and do them both at the same time. It's actually pretty easy to add the tree trunk to this tree skirt, so I don't think you're going to have any trouble with this. Set that tree trunk down. It's kind of in a diagonal diamond position, and you want that tab to come all the way out to the edge of the tree trunk. And that's the way, it's the only way it's going to fit. The holes will be at the top. So if you've got that tree trunk upside down, you'll find that it doesn't stretch and fit those 2 tabs, but make sure that you have it right side up. But yeah, you can just put your fingers through the hole from underneath. You can go from the top. You can give it a good pinch. Just make sure that that tree trunk is set down and attached to those 2 tabs. And then as you close the tree skirt, it will close the tree trunk. Now I'll join my 2 big trees together. So the way I do that is I take the solid tree and I get the center notch seated in the slot at the bottom. Then I can't slide the rest of the tree through until I fold down the triangle that's behind the notch. Then I can wiggle the solid tree through the slot and then unfold that triangle, and that will lock the pieces together. Okay, at the base of the trees, you're going to see holes. There's 4 holes, and those correspond to the tabs that are in the tree trunk. Now, what I want to do is turn that around to where I'm looking at the front of the tree. That's the side that's been die cut into that I think is the prettiest. And then on the tree skirt itself, I want the tree to lift up. See how the front edge is lifting up? That's the front. And then what I want to do is wiggle those tabs through those holes at the base of the tree. So I can just kind of separate on the tree trunk the tab from the back, and then get the tree down into that groove and then wiggle the tab through the hole. So pretty easy to do the first two. The back two might be a little bit more fiddly. If you had to, you could just bend the entire tab outward, set the tree down into the groove, and then wiggle the tab back through the hole. So that's another option. I find that if I just kind of mess with it a little bit, I don't necessarily have to go all the way to folding the tab completely outward, just kind of wiggling it until I can get it through the tree. Okay, so the front of the tree is going to lift up and then it's going to collapse the tree to the back. Now you may have to give it a little assist right now because it's not in the card yet and it doesn't have the outer trees. But just check that you feel like all of the tabs are in and that it's seated nicely into the tree trunk. Okay, for a little extra insurance that that tree cannot slip out of those tabs, what I like to do is take the slot, the piece that came out of the slot on that big tree, and I'm just going to fold that in half and cut it in half. Then I'm going to take one half and I'm going to fold it in half. And what this is going to be a patch that will make sure that the tabs cannot slip out of the tree. And so what I want to do is here on the front of the tree, I'm going to slide the ends of that piece through the holes of the tree. As you can see there, they're coming through the holes of the tree. And then I'm going to glue them to the tree trunk on the back, the ends of them. So I can just slide that down, add a little glue, bring that piece up, and then pinch it to the tree trunk. Okay. I don't really need any adhesive through the middle. I just need the two ends. So I can slide it down. Then I just add a little dot of glue above it. Okay. Then I bring it up and into that glue, making sure the fold is aligned with the trunk in the front. So see, now it kind of gives you a little decorative stripe on the tree trunk, but the main thing it does is it makes those tabs permanent. You cannot now take that back out again. Now I'm going to repeat that process with the other half of the slot, folding it in half, sliding it through the holes on the back of the tree, and then gluing the ends. This is an optional step, but I do think it's worth doing because it gives you a good amount of insurance against those big trees ever being able to pull out of the tree trunk. Now you may be asking, well, how could the trees pull out of the tree trunk? Most often the culprit is a catch point. So you've decorated your card, you kind of forgot where the tree was going to be collapsing down, and you've got something in the background of your card that catches that tree just enough in that closed position that instead of the tree lifting up, it pulls the tree out of the tree trunk, one or more of the tabs. And your issue at that point is access. You've got those outer trees on already, your tree is all decorated. It can be very difficult to get up underneath the tree to get those tabs wiggled back through the holes. So by doing this extra step at the beginning with a piece that you've already die cut and was probably destined for the trash, you really do buy yourself a lot of insurance against that tree ever being able to pull out of those tabs. Now the outer trees in the add-ons set are going to look real similar to the one in the foundation die. The difference here is that they do cut out those inner areas as well as having all of the holes to be able to dangle the ornaments. So you need to cut two of them. So the first step is to fold it up the middle, and then you've got this extra piece at the top. And what you want to do is you just want to fold that against the tree. So one direction or the other or both. So we're just training the fold at the top of the tree. And then when that opens, I like to have that little shelf kind of collapsing inward. So that is optional. You actually can leave it where it's popping outward. I just like the ornament dangling inside the tree. So that's why I like to work it inward. Okay, and then the tabs fold to the back. All right, so that's the training of the small tree. So let me do that again. So up the middle, there's a fold. That folds mountain away from you. That'll line up the trees. Then this little tab at the top, you're going to fold it against the trees in both directions, open it, and then push it so that it collapses inward. Okay, and then you've got the two tabs on the side of the tree. They both fold to the back. And take a quick look before you start dangling ornaments that the tabs are on the left on both pieces. Now in the set are two dies that will cut 3 charm rings each, and I've cut each one of those dies twice so that I have 12. I'm only going to end up using 10. Now on the charm rings, what you do is you just bend them into a circle. So they've kind of got an interesting shape. There's a spot where you can bend them and then you can create that perfect circle out of them. Okay, so that's basically the hinge on each charm ring. And I'm going to go through with my 10 charm rings and I'm going to just pre-fold on the hinge to bring them up into a circle so that they're ready to go. I can put them through the hole, I can add the ornament, I can bend them. It'll be easier to do it ahead of time. So just each one, I'm just bending it into a circle and then bringing it back again. You obviously can choose to use some other method of dangling the ornaments in the tree. So maybe you're going to use metal jump rings, or maybe you want to tie them on with twine. But these cute little charm rings are easy to use, and it's really cool that you can just do them out of paper. And maybe you want to use a metallic cardstock so that your little ornament hangers are out of metallic. I just chose to use the same green as the tree so they would kind of disappear. We like these charm rings so much that we also offer a set that has some additional size charm rings in it. Then there is a die in the set that will cut 6 ornaments at a time, and it's 3 different styles, 2 of each. And so there are times maybe when you want to glue them back to back because you want the pretty on both sides, depending on what you've cut them out of. I am not going to do that. I am just going to, the back is the back. You know, it doesn't usually spin around, so then that saves me a little bit of work. I don't have to glue them back to back. But you could if you wanted to, if you wanted both sides to be pretty. All right, let's take a closer look at a charm ring. And you can see that one side is most of the circle, and then the hinged area is kind of just a little smile. It's just a little portion of the circle. What I like to do to add these to the trees is I hold it by the smile. So I'm going to hold it by the side that is just a portion of the circle. And the one that's most of the circle, 3/4 of the circle, that's the one that I'm going to bring through a hole on the tree from underneath the piece. There's not really a right or a wrong here. This is just the method that seems to work well for me. So taking that larger half of the charm ring through the charm hole on the tree from underneath the piece. Okay, now I grab one of the ornaments, I hook it onto that lower portion, I add a little bit of glue on the end of the charm ring that had come through the hole, and then I bend up that smile portion and into that glue to complete the circle. And then I just pinch it until it sets up. So that just seems to be the method that's worked the best for me for dangling those ornaments, but you can certainly explore other methods. Okay, let me do another one slowly, and then I'll probably speed things up to get the rest done. So I hold the charm ring, the open charm ring, by the smile, so by the smaller half. Then I get the larger half through a hole from behind the piece, and I use my finger to just hold that in place so it doesn't slip back out of there. And you can see the smile is on top. So now I just take an ornament and I hook it onto the smile. Then I'm still using my finger to hold everything in place, add a little adhesive to the larger half of the charm ring, bring the smile up and into that exposed adhesive. And I honestly think you're going to find that those paper charm rings are easier to use than even metal jump rings, because with metal jump rings, you almost have to have pliers, and then you're going to have 2 sets of pliers, and you're trying to get the ring open and, you know, get it through the hole, and then get your ornament on the ring, and then take your 2 pairs of pliers and bend it back into position again. These are really easy to do. You just, you know, add your adhesive to the charm ring, bring the smile up into that adhesive, and complete the circle. And it just really reduces the weight in your card too, because you're just making all of your rings out of paper. Okay, so just completing up that last one, that 5th ornament. Now I have my ornaments dangled from my set of trees for the front of the tree, and now I just need to repeat it with the other set. If you had a bunch of cards to make, maybe you don't use the dangling ornaments on the back trees, you just use the solid ones out of the foundation die. So you can mix and match these together if you want to. Okay, adding these to the tree is exactly like you would do with the base die set, which is you look for the notch on the outer section of a tree, you take the slot on the small tree and you seat it into that notch. And then you have to get the big tree coming through the slot of the small tree all the way up to the top. Then you grab the big tree, you grab the top of the slot, and you click them together. So it's going to give you that satisfying click. You're going to pull the small tree onto the big tree. And you definitely want to support it at the top of the slot so that it can't tear. So I get the notch seated at the bottom. I wiggle the big tree through the small tree. At the top, I support the top of the slot and I pull it onto the big tree and it will click into place. Okay, so now I've got half of the small trees on. Now I need to turn the tree around and I repeat that process with the other set. And this is the location where you could choose to use solid trees instead out of that foundation die if you don't want to dangle the ornaments on the back of the tree. Get the notch seated at the bottom, support the top of the slot as you pull it onto the big tree. So you're going to need both hands for this. So the slot seated at the bottom, one hand holds the big tree, one hand holds the top of the slot of the small tree, and you click them into place. And then the last step is to use the small tabs on the small trees to join them together. So just go to the side of the big tree, and then you'll see those small tabs. Add a little bit of glue to the small tabs, and then what I think is easiest is just to pinch them until they line up with the trees behind, and then that will connect the set of small trees together. That's why it was important that the tabs were to the left on both sets of small trees, so that you have a set of tabs to join together on both sides of the tree. Now I like that shelf that holds the upper ornament to collapse inward. So if it's popped out, I like to, make sure that there's a valley fold in the middle so that it is dangling that ornament down inside the tree. Now as I close it that first time, I want to make sure that the tree is all inside the tree skirt. So see those little branches right there? Just make sure they're inside the tree skirt. Okay, optional, but back to the foundation die again to put on the two-part star. So the star that has the solid area at the bottom is the one that you put on first, and then the one that has the notch at the bottom goes on second. So the one with the solid area at the bottom needs a little glue on that solid area. Okay, and then there's only one tree that it can attach to on the top of the tree. It has to be the one that has the slot up the middle, because that's the only one that has an area that's straight across that can handle that solid area of that star. So I'm just going to slide it down in and attach it to the slotted tree. So above the slot, I don't want to impede any motion on the tree. Then the star half that has notches, I'm going to put my adhesive on either side of the notch at the base. So a little dot of glue on either side of the notch. Okay, then I'm going to take that star, slide it down into the notch of the other one, and the two little sections that have glue will attach to the other tree. So those ones are going to attach to the notched tree. And you'll see as you do it, there's really just only one way that it can go, so it's not hard to do that two-part star. Just start with the one that's solid on the bottom, attach it to the slotted tree, then do the notched one second. At the top of the tree, I decided to add one more little ornament. Now, I don't have a hole to put the charm ring through, so I'm just going to glue the charm ring to the top of the tree so that half of the charm ring is behind it and half is in front, and then I can dangle an ornament from that. And then I decided to use the cardinal that comes out of the base die set. So there is a stencil feature for the eye. I just used a black pen through the die to put the eye on the cardinal. Then I like to just use a black pen on the beak, maybe brush a little red ink around the edges, and then I'm just going to glue that cardinal to the top of the tree. Now, regardless of what card size you're using, you need 2 inches from the back of the card before you start that tree skirt. That's a minimum if you've used a star at the top of the tree. Now, if you took the star off, you could probably go a little bit closer to the back of the card. But 2 inches is your measurement. And then what I'm going to do is just add my strong adhesive all over the base of the tree skirt, obviously avoiding any holes that are in the skirt. For this particular assembly, I just find it easier to just add both sides at the same time. It's very easy to look down and see that the fold of the card is going right through those slots that are cut out of the tree skirt. And I just want the end of the tree skirt to be right on my 2-inch line. And that 2-inch measurement from the back is the same whether you're using an A2 size card, this one's a 4.5 by 6, or maybe you're going to do a 5 by 7 card. If you do a 5 by 7 card, that tree is going to look pretty much centered top to bottom. Any of your smaller card sizes, it's going to be skewed more towards the front so that you have room for that tree to collapse diagonally and still be hidden by the card. Okay, that first time you close it, maybe give it a little bit of help. Be mindful of where your ornaments are, kind of shake the card a little bit to make sure the ornaments are not getting crumpled, and then give it a good press in the closed position. Most of the time, the bottom branches of your big trees are going to end up folding. Now, for whatever reason, this one, they're not folding, they're just staying straight here and here, but most of the time, the card is going to grab those bottom branches and fold them up, and that's fine. That is exactly what that tree does every time. It'll actually enhance the smoothness of the card as it folds down. So just let those branches fold if they want to. I'm going to use our Slim Frames die set for some decorator pieces, along with greetings from our Season of Cheer clear stamps. I'm using one of the rectangle dies from that Slim Frames set to cut out the inside greeting, have a tree trimming, carol singing, laughter ringing Christmas. I changed a little bit from the original because I used markers on the stamp to color some of the words red and others green. I am also using the Merry Christmas stamp, which I have cut out using one of the ovals from the Slim Frames set. The smallest rectangle will make a great tree trunk for the front of the card. I used double-sided adhesive tape on the back of the cardstock before die cutting the oval frame. That both makes it a sticker and puts some extra cushion in it that makes it easy to stencil the white dots. And I will end up using both halves of that frame, the outer frame on the front of the card and the oval on the inside. I brushed a little green ink around the edges of my inside greeting, and then now I'm just going to glue that inside the card. And then I just glued some of the leftover ornaments onto a piece of baker's twine and attached them to the card using little bits of pop dot. Or I could have glued them flat if I wanted to keep the bulk down in the card. Now then on the ends of the twine, I could just glue those down, or I could tie them in a knot, or me, knowing that I was going to do this effect, I just left the paper a little undone on the sides where I knew that that twine was going to be tucked in. And then I could just add some adhesive to the end of the twine and tuck it behind the paper. And then I repeated that same embellishment on the right side of the card. So just the ornaments strung on a piece of twine, little pieces of pop dot underneath them. For the front of the card, I'm going to make a Christmas tree using the large tree that's solid, and then that rectangle that I cut out of the Slim Frames can be the trunk of the tree. And then when I want to use this as a decorator tree, I just have to be clever with where I place my embellishments so that I'm covering up the holes and the notches in the piece with those embellishments. So as I put on these ornaments at the bottom, I'll just glue an ornament over each area that has a notch or a hole. Okay, so there's my little string of ornaments across the bottom, and then I just need to glue the excess twine down on the back. The Merry Christmas label will cover a set of notches in the middle of the tree. The star will cover the notch at the top of the tree. And then I just have to add 2 more ornaments on a string at the top and my tree is done. So just a great way to use that 3D Christmas tree and add-on set, but for a flat decoration. My finished card measures 4.5 on the width by 6 inches on the height, so that will mail in an A7 envelope. You do have a lot of possibilities with combining these two sets, because for some trees, maybe you still like them solid, but you want to use that new tree skirt. Maybe for other ones, you are going to do a half open and dangling ornament tree, and half in the back is going to be solid. Or maybe you just want to pull the ornaments and the charm rings out and use them on other projects. Another great die that will go well with these add-ons would be the charm rings set. The smallest size, the 0.3 inch rings, those are the same as in the add-on set, so you can cut them faster if you have both sets. But then you also have those 2 larger ring sizes, and importantly, you have the ability to turn any embellishment into a charm. So then you can look to your die sets that have small embellishments. You can use the charm holes from the charm ring set to turn them into charms. Then you can use your charm rings to dangle them. And that includes inside that Christmas tree add-on. So here is a tree that is completely decorated with little gingerbread, little candy canes, and little peppermints from that Tiny House Gingerbread add-ons. This one is an A2 size card, which is why the tree is a little closer to the front. It uses those same clear stamps, the Season of Cheer clear stamps, and our Circles crosshatch. I love to end assembly videos by looking at some inspiration from our very talented design team. Fun decorations on that front tree, and then inside with the Christmas tree add-ons, this is a card by Lois Bach. I love the blue and gold and craft color scheme of this card by Ken Xian. And then look at the charm rings used here to make garlands on the tree. I think that's such a great idea. And he took it one step further and made a little pop-up Christmas present using our postage pop-up. Here's an explosion box project by Lois, where she's used the Christmas tree and Christmas tree add-ons in the center. This card by Lois is so festive on the front. She's used the ornaments, and then inside she has the Christmas tree with the Christmas tree add-ons. Sue Small Kreider makes these amazing, almost diorama type of cards that in this case features an entire festive living room. This is a fun idea by Ken to make the Christmas tree out of a clear material, and then he also elevated that on 2 spinner squares. I particularly love the colors on this card by Suzanne Smith, including that purple poinsettia. Another one with great colors. This one's by Nikki Foden. Love all that cream and gold and white. You can absolutely decorate your tree as a top fold card, as you see in this great one by Sandy Diller. Both the Christmas tree add-ons and the Christmas tree pop-up are available now at our website, KarenBurniston.com, as well as a lot of your favorite local and online retailers. Thanks for watching. If you click on the website link, you'll go to KarenBurniston.com, where you can purchase these dies as well as find links to our other social media accounts. You can subscribe to this YouTube channel and check out some of my other videos. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.